All right, so now let's talk about all the different kinds of features with Azure Files, starting with backups. So with backups, you can back up your file share with shared snapshots, and these are read-only, and they're done incrementally. And the great thing about incremental backups is that it's only storing the data that has changed. So let's say you have a drive or a file share, and it's 100 gigabytes, and you only add 1 megabyte. Well, that snapshot is only going to add an additional 1 megabyte. You're not going to have two snapshots that are 100 gigabytes. All right. You can have up to 200 snapshots per file share. You can retain backups for up to 10 years, and backups are stored within your file share. So if you end up deleting your file share, you'll end up deleting your backups. And so because of this, that's why we have soft delete. And so soft delete lets you prevent accidental deletion by turning on this feature, and your storage will be marked for deletion and retained for a period of time before the final delete occurs. So really, it's just like you want to delete. Okay, great. We're going to give you a wait period. And then if you're absolutely sure, it'll be deleted. Then we have advanced threat protection. So that's ATP. This is an additional layer of security intelligence that provides alerts when it detects anomalous activity on your storage account. I'm pretty sure in my AZ9000, I cover this a little bit more in detail there, but not so important at this level of certification. Then you have your store tiers. So there's premium. So this is stored on SSD with single-digit milliseconds for the most I/O operations. As we learned earlier, the higher the IOPS, the faster this is, and SSD is always great for that. Then we have transaction optimized. So this stores on HDD with transaction-heavy workloads that don't need the latency offered by premium file shares. Historically, this has been called standard. Why they call it transaction optimized, I don't know. Maybe it just helps people understand the better usage for it. Then you have hot. This is optimized for general purpose file sharing scenarios such as team shares and Azure File Sync. So that one might be one you're using quite frequently. Then you have cool. So this is stored on HDD for cost-effective storage optimized for online archiving storage scenario. And there's still more to go. So we have different types of storage here that you can use with Azure Files. And we saw this earlier in our comparison, but we'll go over it again. So we have general purpose version 2. And these are deployed on HDD. Then you have file storage, and this is deployed on SSD. Then we have identity. So identity is how you're going to authorize or access Azure files. So for on-premise, this can be joined with your Azure Active Directory domain service. If you're using managed, this is where you're going to be using the Microsoft managed version of Azure Active Directory domain service. Then you have store account key. So this is a username and password that can be used to be mounted. I kind of feel like we cover this more in later detail here, but I guess we'll find out. And then so on to networking. So Azure files are accessible inside and outside your AWS account from anywhere via storage account, public endpoint, because we saw that Azure storage accounts, it's not Azure Files, it's storage accounts, has that fully qualified domain. And again, a lot of Azure service has that. And I really like that feature about Azure. For SMB, the port you're going to be connecting to is 445. And your organization may need to unblock this port so you can mount your file share. For encryption, Azure files are encrypted at rest using Azure Storage Service Encryption, so that's SSC. And for Azure files, for encrypted in transit, it's going to be using the SMB 3.0 with encryption, or it'll use HTTPS. Okay, so there you go.